reminding myself that you left halfway through the deployment, right? When did that happen? July?
Yeah.
4th?
July 3rd, right after my birthday. So halfway through.
So like halfway through it. So I constantly have to remind myself, like, there's so much other stuff that happened afterwards.
Yeah.
That I actually have a lot of questions about.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's so I've been talking to my therapist, and I think one big issue that's contributed to any issues I have is the fact that I never got to talk to the guys and process my feelings and thoughts, because you guys live in Connecticut. You guys live most of you guys live an hour and a half away, and as New Englanders, that might as well be Africa.
It's very far. Trust me.
So yeah, I mean, dude, feel free to ask away, and I'm looking forward to asking you. I mean, there's only so much we're gonna get out of within an hour, but
let's do it. Let's get after it then.
Yeah. So real quick though, I'm really curious. You said you were talking to your therapist before you came here. What were you guys talking about?
This particular session it was kind of like a catch-up session. So we kind of glossed over quite a few things. But we're just starting to really delve into getting into Afghanistan. Like from my first tour, actually really from like getting in uniform all the way up to my last tour, or really when I got out. But my Afghanistan tours are the ones that I really want to focus on.
So is this the therapist through VA or?
Yeah, it's through the vet center.
Okay. What were you guys primarily focusing prior on, like your personal life or? Yeah,
so kind of in order to understand myself, I wanted to start from square one. I don't want to look at a math problem towards the end of it. I want to start at the beginning to kind of figure it all out. So I started off with my childhood, how my decision-making process kind of developed from there, delving into some ego tendencies that kind of got blown up in the military, why I am an introvert, just things like that. Just trying to get to like, what is my mindset? What is my like common theme up until I got to the military? So that way, when I get to Afghanistan, I can understand why I did these things. So it's just easier to process it, as opposed to let's talk about Afghanistan now and then try to unfuck your childhood later.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Like reflect, figure out exactly who you are, why you do the things you do, and then build upon, all right, so that affected this, and Afghanistan brought in this.
Yep.
But I mean, you're a pretty smart guy. I mean, did you feel like maybe there was things about yourself, like blind spots, or do you feel like you just maybe weren't really that reflective of yourself before?
I'd like to think that part of me always took notes on myself, but it wasn't until this pandemic that I started trying to kind of connect the threads and connect the dots.
Okay.
As to why I'm making these unhealthy choices, why do I continue to make them, or why did I stop them? Everything. This is like a full-on legitimate AAR on my thought process of everything. What are my morals? What are my values? I think a lot of us going into the military don't have a sense of self at all. Okay. Or maybe don't have as good a version as they think they do. Is that sense of self?
Was that you growing up, leading up to now adulthood? Okay.
Yeah. So I just kind of felt like I was on autopilot up until this point. Yeah. In general.
That's interesting because I'm the opposite. Just naturally, I don't know, as a young kid, I've always been reflective. And I think, talking out loud now, I think maybe that's because I did journaling. And when you're a little kid, everyone did journaling, right? Your teacher was like, hey, keep a journal. And I think I just really took to that. Something about writing, I naturally love and I enjoy writing and reflecting. And I think, honestly, I'm discovering this now as I'm talking to you. I think that's why I've always been reflective. And so I've never really been caught off guard with like, who am I? Because I've done that my entire life. And that's why I took to philosophy. And I do want to get my degree in philosophy one day. But No, I hear you. I find that really interesting. And obviously, I'm not trying to make a judgment, but it always struck me odd that people could live their life and like something happened and they kind of have an inclination of why they got angry or why they did this or why they did that, and they would just kind of brush it off and move forward and not really dive into
like why that
understand happened. The roots. Yeah. So were you more like that, more or less?
Like I said, I a part of me always took notes. I like to call them bookmarks of this, like something I heard or something that always stuck with me for such a long time because I just don't remember about a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I feel like I was always taking kind of notes on myself. And eventually, kind of when everything came to a head, especially being a dad, your perspective changes.
Yeah.
And so once I started putting everything together, I was kind of like, all right, I need to take all this evidence that I have collected over the course of 30 something years, 33 at the time, and start trying to figure it all out. Because right now I'm just not in control of myself. I'm just kind of living by the status quo or living by stereotype, whatever the case may be. So yeah, it was kind of like just this weird version of like being institutionalized by doing 10 years in the Army, and then kind of just letting society dictate me.
Yeah.
Like just how a drill sergeant would, or, you know, a good NCO or whatever. Right. So I would just kind of let accountability slide on myself. And just let, you know, Instagram, Facebook, my peers' ridiculous statements on, you know, whether you're a Republican or not.
Well, it's hard not to be. I remember I read a book by Ishmael Bia, which is from one of my philosophy classes, and they refer to it as mother culture. Like you can't avoid, you know, it's being engulfed in that. Like no matter how wise or, you know, insightful you are, like you're gonna get caught up in the everyday minutia and the culture where like the zeitgeist of the time will have you thinking about this and this, and there's no way to break free. I mean, you can for sure, and I'm sure like Buddhist monks could probably do that, right? Who spend like a lifetime meditating, but not every day are you like stepping out, having this 5,000 view and be like, whoa, like that argument I had isn't that big of a deal, you know?
Right.
10 years from now, I'm not gonna remember it. Like, I don't give a fuck. No, man, you're in it. You're in the moment. You know, you're fucking pissed off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything weird about, you know, that getting caught up with life. That's very natural.
But a lot of people don't get to that point. That's the unfortunate part. Like, even just in the 7 months that I've kind of just changed everything around, even when I look at pictures of myself in the past, like I get either sad because I understand like what was the mind state that I was in at those particular points. And if it was in the military, I don't remember a lot of it just because I was on autopilot. And anything after the military, I was just this like 210-pound slob, just Jabba the Hutt looking dude. It was horrible. So I get pretty sad when I look at him. But there's a lot of people who don't. For me, what started me on this was my kid. All the things that I was doing that I didn't like about myself, that I would always say like, oh, you know, I got to change this, and I would procrastinate on changing those things. I would start seeing them pop up with my kid.
Like what things?
Just behavioral things, like maybe some way that I respond to somebody if I'm annoyed, or managing emotions. Just those, like these little idiosyncrasies of yourself that you notice, but you don't really pay any attention to it. And then you start seeing it in your own kid, and you're like, I fucking hate that. And then you're like, all right, I got to change that, because that's the only way it's going to happen. No matter how much you tell somebody, and this is not just for kids, but like friends that you have that you've given tons of advice. They're probably like, yo, Terry, how do you get a studio in here and all this stuff? And you're like, well, you got to do like this, and this, and like give a shit about it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay, all right. And they never do it.
That's most people.
There's most people, to include myself. But when it comes to my kid, because it's something I give a shit about.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, I gotta do something, and only you have the answer.
Yeah.
Nobody else does. Like, that's another thing. Like, I go down YouTube rabbit holes, and it's like, that's all fine and dandy. Those are good tools to pick up what you can, but nobody's gonna make you do this stuff. Like, you got to go do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter what. And that wasn't really like instilled in me as a kid. So kind of learning that as a 34-year-old is pretty like daunting.
No, dude, I hear you, man. Sometimes I feel I beat myself up because, I'm 35 now. My birthday was not too long ago. And there's things that I'm learning and struggling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, what the fuck, man? You're a grown man. But it's growing pains because it's like we all learn at different speeds and depending on your parents and this and that, you know what I mean? So it is what it is, man.
It's true.
Trying to be better.
I had a lot of learning issues when that was one of the things I found out a lot about. Well, not found out, I should say admitted about in therapy was about a lot of the issues that I had just because from a cultural standpoint, like Puerto Ricans aren't known for math.
Okay.
Just
I didn't
breaking,
know this. I've never
breaking
heard this
news.
stereotype. Yeah.
Breaking news.
Okay.
So we suck at math usually for the most part. And since that was my first language and first culture. So when I switched over to like a traditional school, I was like way behind the curve. So like I had to learn these like really weird ways of learning numbers just to kind of catch up. So I didn't learn about any of this stuff until like I started kind of connecting the dots with mortars because with mortars it's all math.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, how does a kid who's like totally trash at math,
Right. Or like algebra because you need 90 degrees.
Yeah,
like
exactly. I mean, everything, trigonometry, physics, you name it, is like, it's all mortars.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how the fuck did I go from that to that, but still not know how I did it? So that was one of the things I had. So I had like a lot of, like, I don't know how to be in the spirit of transparency. I have no clue how the fuck you guys are alive because I was just flying by the seat of my pants. Like,
oh man, that's like, a whole different thing. I don't know. Dude, our deployment really should have been a television show because it's like just the craziness and like how many times we should have died and just the characters we had. I don't know, it's a whole different thing. But real quick, before like we get too crazy into like deployment, I wanna circle back a little bit. So do you feel like a lot of people may have issues because of the fact that they don't know themselves enough? They don't reflect enough to know who they are and why they respond and do the things they do?
I think a lot of people reflect subconsciously.
Okay.
I think, I would venture to say that a perfect example of this is when you got your squad leader or fire team leader telling you this. And in the back of your head, you're like, this motherfucker, I don't understand why the fuck he's doing it this way. You should do it this way. Because this is way fucking better.
I was never like that.
And I was like,
I hear you. Yeah.
I'm like, this guy's fucking garbage. I could do this way fucking better. So I would always be, shit, I forgot where I was going with that. God damn it.
I asked you about we're being reflective.
Yeah. So just like that, like, so that's a period of reflection. Like that's immediate action, reflection. And then when you get to that point, you don't start implementing the shit that you really thought about. Like all the things that lead you to be whoever you are, usually it's because you saw the antithesis of it at some point. Like I was never really into drugs. Like I never smoked because I always saw everybody else getting fucking arrested and all that shit. But anyway, so self-reflection also requires application. And so I started like paying attention to like, what am I saying? What's my inner monologue? At the time, like while we're talking, what am I thinking? Because chances are that's probably gonna be a lot more interesting than whatever it is I can do. And I'll probably get something out of it. So I think reflection is fine. That's all great, but you still got to do something about it.
Yeah.
Because what's the point of like writing about all your shit and then just never looking at it to like? That's the whole point of like journaling, to like to go back and to like look at like, wow, I can't believe I said that.
Yeah.
At 35, and now I'm 45, and I totally do not think that way.
Well, I agree with everything you said. I'm guessing I'm still curious on, do you think that a lot of veterans have issues because they just don't reflect to begin with?
No, I think they all reflect. They just don't.
Okay.
They just don't execute. Like I think one of the best things I ever learned was how to write an operations order. Like between operation orders and troop leading procedures.
I love it.
That's all you need.
I love the organization of it.
And sprinkle a little MET-TC on there. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all you need. That's literally it.
Commander's intent done.
If you know the commander's intent, okay, roger that. Well, I'm 34. I don't consider myself successful. So what is my intent? I am the commander. This is my mission. I have to go do whatever the thing is. I'm just starting, so I don't want to sound like a fucking hypocrite, by the way. But I understand that's where I got to be. That's what I got to do. And that's how I have to treat it. Like some of us respond to, the op order mentality. Some people subscribe to art, whether that's through the therapy side or actual physical art. Mm-hmm. But you just got to create a plan. A lot of guys reflect of like, oh, I didn't like this. And we all fall into the victim mentality, which is why I appreciate you the most out of anybody.
Thanks, man. Because
you have a reason. You actually, in the surface level thinking, like you have a reason to quit. Like you have a reason to submit to mediocrity.
If I wanted to, yeah.
Like, you can do that, but you don't. And whatever that is, maybe we'll find out today. But I'm pretty sure I know what it is. But the rest of us, I feel like squander that. Like, I don't use PTSD as an excuse for, I attribute a lot of our issues to transition. That is it. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to bridge that gap right now with getting out of uniform. And it doesn't matter if you're active, if you're a Navy SEAL, Delta Force, or a National Guard guy. If you do it long enough and you get used to it, you're going to come out fucked up regardless. Or you're going to have a skewed perception of reality that doesn't align with civilian ideologies. So, yeah, transition is, I think, the main killer.
Definitely want to talk about that, but before I, just so I know, do you suffer from PTSD?
I think the answer is convoluted, but I would say yes. The black and white answer is yes, but I don't, since I don't really subscribe to it. Mm-hmm. And also, actually, is something I was talking about with somebody else, that like a lot of the instances I had that could be considered traumatic, nobody died or nobody got like really messed up. So I have a different perspective on it where, like, besides maybe your mission and Massamutte, those are probably the only two instances where I feel like I could have done a little bit better, but for the most part, like, I did what I could have done within that circumstance. So, like, I don't really I don't have any issue with a lot of the instances that I could pull out of my deck of cards for PTSD.
I know what you mean.
But so I'm also not like discounting it, but like, sometimes I'll freak out for a bag of trash. Some days I don't. Or if I see a dead deer corpse, like, I never saw that overseas, but it was definitely something we trained for, to look for like corpses rigged. So like, I'll be like, oh, you never know. There might be some Semtex in there. But overall, no, I don't really get affected by it.
So what does your therapist think? And I was going to follow up and ask you, what do you think, like, point period, whether you have it or not? But I guess your response is no, you don't have PTSD.
I would say yes, because I still have like some physiological responses, whether it's excitement. Mm-hmm. For me, the biggest one right now is differentiating my excitement from my level of intensity towards that excitement, because they're very confused pathways when it comes to like the Army, because my version of excitement is somebody's about to die. That's it. Like, so I need to like,
what do you mean, like a firefight or
with, like, for example, our tour, mm-hmm. Something that really irked me after our tour. I threw a Halloween party and I got fucking blackout drunk, and I had Breefort there, Thomas. I had like a pretty good amount of the gang there.
Yeah.
So I apologize for not inviting you. But So Sean dressed up as a terrorist, straight up, like a really good one too. Like it looked legit. He had the BDU top with the khaki shorts, the pants, and the flip flops and all that. It was really good.
Yeah.
But I got jacked up, man, and I tried to fight him. When I was blackout drunk, I don't remember any of it. Everybody told me afterwards, and the one thing that they all told me was that I was just screaming, "I don't want anybody to die," and I was just yelling out a bunch of guys who had been like casualties, or that I like really just had more of a connection with than others. So I just was rattling off names. I was like, I don't want anybody to die, and that's all it was. So that's what every night for me felt like, or every time you guys went out the wire, for me felt like, as a mortar guy, as an FTC guy, because my whole job was to track everything about you guys. You know, your all your radio frequencies, backup frequencies, where you are on the map, frontline trace from the front line to the rear elements, support positions, all that stuff. That was my job. Yeah. I did all that by myself. So I treated it. So, you know, when I think about all those things, that's what comes up to me. That's how I felt every single day until you guys got inside the wire. And then at nighttime, it was like, okay, we're back up, because I'll get a little bit of a break, and then we'll do the night shoots. So we'd do the night shoots, and it was the same thing. Maybe we'll get lucky. We'll find a point of origin or some shit like that will smoke some guy just randomly setting up. So that's, every single day, that's how I treated it. So that physiological response to excitement, that is very difficult to, it's like this like protective violence. It's odd, but I'm starting to learn about it. Yeah. But that's definitely like the majority of my PTSD is like that differentiation of excitement.
Okay. It's like you get amped up and different reasons why you should be excited, and it gets mixed up into the same level of stream of violence.
Think of it like a shoot, don't shoot scenario. Like when you go to clear a building or clear a room, you're like, okay, well, the hostage is over here, so you know you got that split second to not shoot.
Shoot or not, yeah.
So it's kind of similar to that, like, because you know how it is, like you get riled up, and then out of the blue, like you already ruined somebody's fucking relationship. Like it just spirals really fucking fast. And you don't mean to. It's just kind of like this fight or flight kind of response, at least for me.
I thought I was tracking, but I think I'm a little bit more lost. Are you saying that you get excited and it's accompanied with anger, or?
I don't even like to call it anger. It's intensity. Okay, it's just like that. Like when you hear that first bullet whiz by, or you hear that snap or the crackle, like game on. So as soon as I hear, as soon as my body feels it's game on, I just get intense. Mm-hmm. Like, so a lot of people kind of mistake that for aggression. I don't really have anger issues. I'm pretty calm. You've seen me in combat before. So
I was saying, like, you don't visually, like, you don't, like, when I get angry, like, I know people know I look angry. My face gets really, there's like a darkness where it's like you can tell I'm pissed. But you're not, like, are you saying you're not showing these angry cues?
Yeah, like, I don't get boisterous. I don't throw things around. I just get like let's do this, like, get up. Like, you
hear me happy and have this excitement and it puts people off. Is that it?
I don't even know how to. I guess maybe I don't know how to explain it, but it's just this. It's just like this get after it intensity, regardless of what it is. Like if my daughter's pissing me off, like maybe she's like not doing good at tiger shoes or whatever. I'm getting impatient. I'll get the intensity of like when you like grab a private, like like when you're like, all right, no, motherfucker, like go here.
Okay, I'm starting to understand now.
Like go here, you grab this, you do this, blah 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 blah.
This is intensity and there's pressure behind it.
Yeah,
like you might get fucked up. The drill sergeant didn't even swear, but like
I know what I have to do.
Yeah,
I have I just want to get after it, but like it could be for something stupid, well, perceivably stupid, but like I don't know. Here, I'll be a douchebag and admit to this. If somebody's like taking like mad slow to just give me a black coffee, like it's a black coffee, like just pour it. Mm-hmm. Like I understand you got a lot of shit, right? So like I try not to be too much of a dick, but something like that. Like I would get irritated and I'd just be like, hello. Like, you know, when your drill sergeant used to go, hurry up, like that. Like, it's just like, I want to snuff you out. But you're measured. Like, you understand, like, it's just like combat intensity. I don't know. It just pops up.
I think I understand what you're saying. Like you could feel this heaviness of like some like the weight of like your
like
energy like pushing.
It's like a burden of time.
I think I understand.
We are Ricky Ticky. Let's go. Let's get after it, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is usually how I ran the mortar pit.
I gotta say, I mean, it's not like I didn't have respect for you guys, but like I remember they changed my battle position, so I was up by the mortar pits, so I had the 240 sitting there, and I just remember like just watching you guys, and it was pretty fucking awesome. It was like this fucking beautiful dance of death. It really was. I was trying to like I was trying to stop myself and say something else. I was like, it was a dance of death, man. It just like fucking 81s and what was it, 120s?
Yeah, we had everything, man. We had two 260s, two 81s, and two 120s, all pointing in different directions every single night. So that the enemy would never know where we were pointing at.
I mean, shit, like just shooting the 240 and like just, I thought that was loud enough. But hearing that thing go off, like fucking like what, like fucking 40 feet behind me? I was like, man, that was intense. That was really cool.
Yeah. It was, I know it's really cliche, but it really was the best job I ever had.
I was literally like just thinking of fond memories at the same time, man. It's so weird. Like I remember being there, like fucking like just fucking shooting, fucking rounds in the Hesco brass, burning my arms, but like
when we were ripping was it Arizona, Iowa, or something like that? Well, shit, you weren't there. But the guys, whoever it was that was taking over for us, I don't. How we go through it, how we do it, how we select targets.
Yeah.
And we told them, you have to do this. There's no way about it. If you do not do this, they will establish areas because there's not that many. I would know. I've been there twice. Like, that was my second time at Punisher. So we told them all this information. We're like, just do harassment and interdiction fires. You got plenty of ammunition. Do that. They didn't want to do any of that shit. That's the reason why you got clapped. I'm sorry, but it's war.
Well, those guys ripped.
Yeah, they ripped the next. They ripped the next unit, but that memo should have been passed out.
Yeah, I think it was Lambo that told me that whoever ripped us were like really cocky, just really like been there, done that, and that company lost like 4 dudes in the first month or something like that.
We would do things like you got to get slick. Like, I mean, we were getting to the point where me and Thomas would sit there and we'd be like, all right, if we know you guys are going to village, whatever, X-ray, we're not going to shoot there because that would be obvious. So we're going to leave it alone. We're going to pepper to the north and to the south and then maybe to the west or something like that. And then we train all our shit on all the points of origin in that area that you guys are going to run. Just to be like, make them think, Americans gave us a chance. We're going to prep. We see them stupid Americans coming over here. And then we just light them up. So just like, you got to think slick. Like, these guys are slick. That's all they do. They live here. Like, you gotta start thinking outside the box. So we told them, we're like, don't fuck around. Don't think because you got 6 big guns that can lay down a lot of mofos real fast. You're not safe whatsoever. You're on a mountain slope, and the Death Star can be easily taken over. Easily. For sure.
You have enough numbers.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Or a good fire.
Yeah, it's not like we had a great gate.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was on a slope, man. It was like fucking Minas Tirith from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, they just had to take the Death Star and then shoot down at the cop.
It makes me sad that an actual military strategy that is doctrine, and by the way, can be run by the FDC over superseding the commander's order. Wouldn't use that. Use it. Like, use it. It makes me sad that you got to waste, like, it was like 9 Joes or something like that. That got killed. It was a lot. It was a good amount. And I mean, I literally was there when that fire base got established the first time in 2006. So it's like, bro, we know the area. Just letting you know, you're going to get clapped if you don't get on your shit. And you got to know all your law of war, law of conflict, all that stuff. It's a Wild Wild West, homie.
Yeah, no, we could talk about that kind of stuff forever. I'm really not. It's not that I'm not interested in that. You know what I mean? I guess I'm more interested in seeing how you're doing, really.
So yeah, well here, how about? I mean, when I got out in 2015. I had no fucking clue. I had no clue what I wanted to do, man. Mm-hmm. No clue,
dude. That was my biggest. Dude, honestly, man, Afghanistan. It's arrogant to say cakewalk. I was the one that cakewalk. It's everything what you wanted as an infantryman.
Oh yeah,
like when it's like fucking 2100 and you just started watching a movie and you're like, please don't fucking shoot us tonight. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like killing anyone. I just want to watch a movie. That's fucking great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No complaints about Afghanistan other than the fact I almost died. But for me, like coming back and dealing with Walter Reed, the hardest thing I had ever done in my entire life. The hardest thing I've ever done. You know what I mean? And so many things fucking pisses me off with Walter Reed. But one of the reasons I know, and this has to do with what we were talking about earlier, was the fact like I didn't know what I wanted to do. My whole identity, like obviously just National Guard, right? You could say whatever you want in a million different ways, and I wouldn't disagree with a lot of it. But what I wanted to do at the end of the day was I was going to go active duty. Mm-hmm. I was going to get my Ranger tab. I was going to try to go as far as I can, and then become a merc. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's
kind of my plan too, actually.
And that wouldn't have been like a hard thing. People do all the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like that's exactly what I wanted. So being at Walter Reed and not having a meaning in life, and essentially kind of having my identity stripped because I can't run anymore. Not only am I never going to be an infantryman, I'm just never going to be who I was completely before because I can't run. I remember being really painful. How did you deal with that?
I think I'm just starting to learn how to shed that. Mm-hmm. Every day I'm always, for lack of a better term, judging myself as to how much army do I want to be? Mm-hmm. Like, because there's still some things that I say and do that I think are just going to be stuck with me from the military, like, check or hold or roger that, stupid shit like that. And then also part of my physical identity, like with my look, like, do I, like right now I'm wearing these tan military boots, like how much of that is important to me, and kind of assigning value to it, because I don't want to be. I felt the same way. But from a completely different perspective. Like my original goal for the Army was, from an ego standpoint, was like I just want to carry a machine gun, murk motherfuckers. But from like a wiser end game perspective, I want to retire at 20 years, and I had the stupid idea of thinking that I could do that at 37, but I didn't know. So when I got out at 10 years, I was like, well, I can't make it to 37. That's a wrap. I can't kill any more people, or at least I can't go overseas and do some kind of mission.
Yeah.
So I kind of just gave in. It's kind of sad, but I just kind of gave in, and I didn't really realize who I was or who I should be. A little bit after my kid once my kids started like kind of showing me the behaviors that I didn't like, that's when I really started putting everything together. I was like, I gotta change. I can't be that guy who keeps on talking about his tours, or the guy who keeps on talking about his quarterback days at, whatever.
Yeah.
In high school. Like, I can't be that guy. I can't do that because it'll be disservice to my kid, but it'll also be disservice to all the guys that died. Like, that's it. All the conversations, all the guys who could have died that, all right, I'm blessed to have with us. So I started using them as a fuel. I didn't really quite know how to commemorate them on a daily basis. So, Bittner, Capaldi, a few other guys from my first tour that I actually had interactions with that I cared about. So I was like, I gotta be better for my kid for the future, and better for my past, which are my dead brothers. And live, for guys like you. Like I said before, like, you can get into semantics all you want, but like at the end of the day, I don't have any real serious, legitimate physical injuries or had to do any significant kind of rehab to reattach anything. Or so, if I have my wits about me and I can breathe and I can do things, then I'll do it for those guys. And do it for myself, because at the end of the day, I'm me. I'm the only person who can do shit. Mm-hmm. Like, if I want to commemorate my guys, then I have to commemorate them, not anybody else, and not by any kind of post that I'm going to make. Like, I have to go live it. And my daughter, I have to show her that I believe in these values, in that I can look back on my time in the military, be proud of it, but also know that it's not who I am.
Yeah.
As cliche as that sounds. That's an Instagram quotey.
No, I didn't even see that on Instagram. I know what you mean. I try not to. It's not that I try, but I'm very aware, and I don't like the idea of being identified as, the guy who got shot. You know what I mean? That's not how I want to be known. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's more than the person than this one defining thing, and I'd rather not be known. I want to be known as me, all encompassing me. So it's like, no, I feel you there, man.
I have a question for you, actually. Yeah. Now that we're on this, because this is kind of sort of near it. Did your, when you hear everybody say, oh, he signed on the dotted line, that fucking bullshit line. Mm-hmm. Has your perspective on that saying or that sensation or that I don't know if it's like military virtue signaling or some shit like that, but did your perspective change going through what you did to be like, oh, this shit was not worth it, or like, or was it like, did you have a sense of pride? How did it? I'm assuming that you probably felt very differently on the back end getting out of everything than you did initially.
Nah, man. Sorry to disappoint you. I think I was very objective to what happened. Mm-hmm. If there was any sort of emotion involved, mm-hmm. I really felt guilty. I really felt like I did such a stupid thing. Mm-hmm. Aside from almost getting myself killed, I could have potentially got some of my teammates killed.
Right.
I was, a liability at the end of the day, and
that's a bit excessive, but it's like.
Yeah, I mean, my therapist did say she thinks I don't cut myself enough slack. She thinks
you don't.
I'm too hard on myself. But I mean, that's how I feel. I mean, and involving that question, that's the greatest feeling I had. In fact, when I came back to Walter Reed, I was consumed with guilt for like the first month or two. Just the fact that I was back, stateside while you guys were still out there. I actually requested to be sent back. I was like, I could just sit behind a fucking 50 cal all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't really realize how fucked up I was.
Yeah.
I knew I was fucked up, but like, I was like, oh, it's a bullet. Like, take the bullet out, I'll be fine. Like, I was fucked up. Yeah.
That's the kind of shit though that like, those are the kind of things I didn't have a good, what does it mean to die conversation with anybody in the military. This is a constant theme that's kind of been running around for the last few months for me. Is I've had more significant, impactful conversations with cancer survivors or people going through cancer than I have with soldiers, which makes me sad because I feel like a lot of us have that like, well, I mean, I shouldn't generalize, but I know I look at being a soldier like from a kind of like a samurai Bushido kind of way. Like for me, I feel like it's an honor to be that, to be in some type of protective or offensive role, like, you know, serving something bigger than you. And I don't mean that from a country's perspective, like you know, like I'm not a fucking country dick rider.
You're
like for your boys,
greater,
like your guys, like something like the team. Like when we were dropped into that valley, it's just us. That is it. That is the purpose. That is the mission. We don't give a shit about hearts and minds. I mean, I don't know if you did, but I sure as fuck didn't.
I kind of did. I've always been the idealist.
I was like that until I realized that we were enabling everybody. Like, there's only so many times that you can go talk to some old ass motherfucker, give him some free shit, and not get the right intel. Or like 33% of the time get the right intel. Like, you know how many times like we've gotten like the Mongolian horde is coming over the mountains because, you know, Abu Ahmed decided to say, oh, because you killed my goats, I'm gonna fuck up your intel. So, do I have faith in humanity? For sure, I still do somehow, some way. But in that sense, in the war sense, I'm like, it's all fair game.
No, I hear you. Trust me, man. Like, I'm down to kill terrorists all day. You know what I mean? Fucking line them up.
But we did the whole hearts and mind things all fucked up. We jacked it up all wrong. We just enabled everybody. There wasn't no hearts and minds. I mean, look, I got a kid, and if I give my kid candy without them doing anything good for me, AKA providing intel of some sort, I'm enabling.
No, I hear you, man. I don't want to go down this conversation. I know exactly what you mean. When it comes down to pick or choose, like, I'd rather be like, you know, World War II, drop bombs, let's fucking handle business. I'm on the same page. But no, I know what you're saying. Because like on my first tour, that's how I felt. On my first tour, I was like, oh, you know, like obviously I care for the kids. I give a shit about. The only people that I really feel bad about are the kids. Anybody else, I don't. But on my first tour, that's kind of where I noticed like that we're not. I don't want to say that we're not making an impact because we definitely made some kind of impact, some way, somehow, for sure. But in general, like the philosophy of like giving somebody a bunch of free things. No, for sure. Yeah, that was sure. Like, they don't want us to leave. They want us to stay there. They want the fucking MREs. They want everything that America brings. I totally agree with you. How do you feel about us getting out of Afghanistan? Honestly, I don't have an opinion. I haven't stopped to think about it, to be honest. Shit, man. I don't want to get into politics. I think it's no, we don't have to get into politics. In terms of like I want to do whatever is best for our country, and I think it's time for us to pull out. Yeah, and that's best. That's what's best for our country right now.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking from a politic perspective. I don't want any of that smoke. No, because I was telling my therapist about this, and I told her that it felt like when I saw some of the reports, it felt like looking back on like an ex. Like you see her on social media, she's looking good. She's lost some weight. I'm like, oh man, I might have to get back in that. And that's kind of how I felt at first. I was just kind of like jealous. I was like, man, there's like a whole nother war gonna pop off. Like that 18-year-old in me was kind of thinking about it. And then afterwards, I got sad because I was like, fuck, I just wasted like 3 years of my life in that country for nothing.
I didn't even think of that. No, honestly, I feel I'm just a hardcore idealist, and honestly, I just immediately feel bad for the Terps. You know, all the Terps who are gonna die. They're gonna die. A lot of the good. I remember there's some good soldiers who really hated the Taliban just as much as we hate them. They're either dead or they're the Taliban now because they have to be to survive, right? And yeah, but I mean, as much as I'm an idealist, I'm also like I'm a practical guy, and I know, hey, listen, I signed up just to go kill as many bad guys as I can. That's it. That's all I can do at the end of the day.
Absolutely. But yeah, I felt kind of weird about it. I was like, damn. So I did 2 different types of missions. I did kinetic operations like we did. Well, you guys did a kinetic part. I just did the mortar part. And then my first tour was like a PRT humanitarian Sec 4 type mission. So I got the both ends of the spectrum. And I kind of realized at the ripe age of 19, I was like, oh, I know what's going on here. I see it. It's a bunch of shit.
No, I know what you mean. Like, it's, as much as idealist as I am, and I said it over again, even in country, you know what I mean? There's a certain point you start getting jaded, and like I never got to the point like where I was jaded, but it was like I drew a fucking 240 on a kid before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not like I wanted to pull the trigger, but I tell you what, I was okay if I had to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And this was around the time that we had that suicide bomber and he killed one of the A&A guys.
I think I remember that.
And so we had intel that they had like, I think there was like 13 suicide vests and they were strapping on kids. That's why we stopped, you know, that's why all those boxes of candies and toys we had just stayed at the top.
They went to the mortar pit.
Yeah, because we stopped giving the kids. And I just remember there was this was like really shortly after, and I had the 240 on me. And for whatever reason, I just had the 240. I set it on my Mark 48. And I had this kid like running at us full speed. And I was like, stop. And he wouldn't stop. And I was like, well, fuck, man. So I pointed my 240 at him, slowed him down. Like, this is like, it's my guys or you know what I mean?
What was the weirdest actual thing, like with your eyeballs, that you saw in Afghanistan? For you, I know it's subjective, but like,
I wouldn't say the like weirdest thing,
the strangest thing.
But I don't know why a few things really pop out. Was a time that we were on an OP mission. I was on an OP, so just me and Holloway, and I just remember this little kid running up, cute as a button, and just like started counting at us. When I was like, motherfucker.
Oh, no.
I don't know why it sticks in my brain, and like I didn't even hate the kid. I hated the fact that the Taliban are using him to fucking spout
like
us.
bait.
Yeah, so I don't know why it sticks in my brain so much. But that instance, and then I also remember we were bounding back after a firefight, and we just got off the fucking mountain, and I used we ended up at a cemetery, and I remember using one of the tombstones as cover.
Yeah,
and I was just like, this is just so fucked up for so many reasons. You know what I mean? Like I felt awful because I'm disrespecting this dead guy because I'm using his tomb as a tombstone. But also, I was like, fuck, if I die here now, that'd be like some sort of weird cosmic punishment.
Bad juju shit right there.
Bad juju. So I remember that distinctly.
Yeah.
Because you know when you get shot at and your whole body puckers up. Yeah. Like you're just like, where am I gonna get it? I just remember laying behind that tombstone, and I was just thinking, just all that, just try not to die, and then just remember that thought, like, this is some weird cosmic justice.
It is. It's strange. It's very strange. All of war is just doesn't make sense.
No rhyme or reason.
There's no rhyme or reason. There's been like countless times. Like I was just telling my therapist about it. I mean, there's been times where I forgot the name of the place, but it's towards the south on that main MSR, and I had put my head down behind a Humvee tire. So like the Humvee tire's right here. I put my head right here, and like a stream of like 8 RPK bullets came by like within inches. And I felt it kick up onto my face, and I was just like, the sun was coming up. Yeah. I was just putting my head down, and shit was on like right then and there. Just weird shit. The weirdest thing I remember though was the first time we got attacked, like near where Punisher is usually where we stopped getting attacked. Because we used to go further north, like way fucking north. I think Dalit Shah, right? I think that's what it's called. Anyways, someplace way the fuck up there. We didn't go over there on the second tour. But anyways, so we would, right around there somewhere, we were getting shot at from the other side of the valley by Jesus Tree. And I just remember this guy like literally cultivating his corn like another Sunday.
Oh yeah, I've seen that too. That was weird.
Like he was just like children decor and shit, like a horror, like an opening to
like,
a horror
you saying
movie.
during a firefight?
Yeah, during a
Yeah, I've seen that. That was really weird too.
I mean, Mark 19 is going off, 50
Yeah.
cal's going off, and he's just like yamba 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 yamba.
I remember like he had some guy just out there walking around. He was like, huh, like we're fucking shooting rounds back and forth, you know.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I remember
Just weird stuff.
That was really weird. But you know what? It just makes sense because they know that Taliban's not trying to kill them, and they know we're not trying to kill them either. So they're like, "Oh, let me go check out this."
That's a lot
show.
of faith. That's a lot of faith.
But like when you're just used to it, I could see like
I guess
just being numb and not care. It's like people
He's
in New
gonna be a
York,
G.
you know, they're like crossing the road and there's fucking cars coming by. They don't care. They
This guy's in the kill zone though.
No, I know what you mean. I know, dude. I
There's like
literally,
9 Vicks
I could
deep.
see in my head like this guy's walking. There's a stone wall right here. He's just kind of like walking like this. I'm like, God, what do you fucking do? Because I was in the tower, the guard tower, and I just remember like it was another fucking firefight. Fucking they're mortaring us. We're shooting. It's like fucking like probably like it's probably like at 10 p.m. You know. So yeah, I can still remember this guy. I'm like, what is he doing? He's gonna get smoked. But yeah,
I've seen a lot of weird things.
Is there anything you want to get off your chest, Miguel?
No.
Safe zone.
I think no, I think our tour was I can't wait to kind of like figure out what that was. I don't really know like what happened. Like I was so from March 1st, I know you remember that attack. The March 1st attack.
They all blend in my mind. I don't know.
The very first one, I think I was literally on the fob or on the cop for like 30 hours.
What are you saying? Wait, are you saying they're attacking the cop?
It was like a spring attack at night, and we still had the other guys.
Is that the one where Holloway jumped on the 50 cal, went black, jumped on the next 50 cal, and truck went black?
And it was we still had the other guys with us. It was very, very early. Like we were just starting to. We were in the middle of the RIP process with whoever the Bloody Bucket guys were. I think
Pennsylvania. I know that.
Was it Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Anyways, maybe it was Nevada. It was Nevada. I think. Anyways, whatever. Who cares a shit? Anyways, it was like at the very beginning, like when we had finally just got like the rest of the chalks in from our platoons and all that stuff. We were just getting settled, and it was so like pretty cold in March. And from that night, when we got attacked, because like we got a call from a Death Star, and Death Star was like, "Oh, we got a guy with like a stick or like a rifle or some shit." Because we were waiting for a stick with a balloon. Like we were waiting for somebody to say it looks like a stick with a balloon, which would be like an RPG.
Okay, yeah.
So we were me and Sean, because we kind of already knew what was going on, because we already been there. So the other state, whoever was with us, like it's just a massive fucking firefight on March 1st. Me and the mortar guys always just call it March 1st.
I don't remember that, dude.
So ever since then, it was just fucking like, just game on. But I do miss.
You know what's weird?
Some of that stuff.
I don't. Maybe because it's all too much to now. I don't remember from beginning till end. I remember snippets of things.
I don't remember. Like a lot of this shit was boring. Like,
which is the most
of it, right? Like, well, the other thing you gotta remember too is like besides, unfortunately, whenever third platoon would go out,
we got hit a lot.
You guys were the only ones that got hit.
We got hit a lot.
So we had.
I mean, I was in that kill zone the day I got shot.
I don't know how much time we got left, or if it's over.
Yeah, go ahead.
But so what the fuck happened that day? Because I was obviously in the mortars, so like.
So
I remember what I had to do, like, because I was sort of shooting near the cell tower.
Yeah.
And since JJ was kind of telling me, because I have a map of the area on my wall, and so he was trying to explain to me like where we were. Oh, we also have the 360 like panoramic view of the whole place.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was like, what exactly? You guys are which village were you guys going to?
So
it wasn't Dumlam, right? It was Dome Lake or something like that.
Let me take a piss real quick, all right?
Yeah.
Come back. I'm going to tell you the whole story so you can hear it. All right, because I know a lot of the guys don't know my version of what happened. you know.
Well, you can just give me the cookie cutter version of it.
No, I'm not gonna give you cookie cutter and make it short or anything. But like, all right, so I mean, you already know, like, as a company, at that point we've already survived through like mortar attacks in the cop, ambushes, suicide bombers, and everything in a movie aside from a fucking V-bid, right?
Right.
We've already encountered.
Get one of those. Thank God, dude. You don't want to.
How do we not get a V-bid? You know,
bro. We had a V-bid. We had one V-bid. Oh no, correction, two. One on our last day on the FOB in Medalam.
Yeah.
On my first tour, and one in the middle of our deployment in Kabul that killed 2 of our guys. Dude, V-beds. Fuck that noise.
All right, so we've already been through all that kind of shit. So like, you know, and then this was my last mission, my very, very last mission before taking leave.
Fuck, man, that seems to be the constant theme with that deployment.
And
leave.
And I was supposed to go to Peru. I was supposed to volunteer at an orphanage, and it was gonna be fucking great.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like I'm an optimistic guy, but something didn't sit right in my stomach, and it was probably the briefing for the mission.
Yeah.
And the mission, the intel we got was we're going to a village that wasn't even on the map, and the last unit that was to have visited the village was French Legionnaires.
Oh shit!
And the whole company that was there, I think they all got waxed.
Fuck.
And that was like 3 years prior. So not only did this village wax an entire company of, I don't know if it was an entire company, but maybe it was like a platoon of Legionnaires. There hasn't been any friendly forces there in the last 3 years. So the intel was they had a new mullah. And so obviously we need to know, are you green or red? You know,
right.
What are you telling you? What are you telling your people? Kill Americans, or are we cool?
Right.
So the mission was just to do a simple KLE, and you know, and I remember that made me on edge. I'm like, oh fuck, I didn't have a good feeling because everything seemed to be too good to be true. You know what I mean? And I remember I was telling everybody, I was saying it out a lot.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna fucking die. I'm gonna fucking die. And I remember people were getting pissed. They're like, dude, shut the fuck up. And like, I wasn't that guy. You know what I mean? The whole deployment, like scared, like,
I'm
oh
a
no.
motherfucker.
But like something just felt off. It was a combination of like my last mission, I'm gonna go and leave, and now we're going someplace that's not even on the map. That's like friendly forces as a visit, and we got intel on the radio that, hey guys, possibly ambush, heads up. But we hear that shit all the time, right? All the fucking time.
I tell that to people. Nobody believes me.
And I'm like, all right, whatever, cool, you know. And then we get back on the main road. I think third platoon's up front, second platoon, second squad.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. Second squad's in the front. Third squad, my squad, was in the middle, and first squad was way in the rear. They were just getting back on the main road, and I didn't see it. Months later, Holloway told me that he saw a arm swing above the cliff with an AK and started spraying and praying. And as soon as he started shooting, it just started going off all around the valley. It was like literally almost like a perfect L-shaped ambush.
Yeah.
So that means like my squad was in the kill zone, you know?
Yeah.
So immediately, like, I just run off the road and I just jump into a ditch. And like, I'm looking above, I'm scanning, I'm trying to find like a pool site anywhere, anything to tell me where the shooter was, you know? I see nothing. And so we're getting shot at. I hear more shooting, you know. And at this point, like, you know, we've been in ambushes. It was like, all right, like, what the fuck? Like, we got to kill these guys. Like we're gonna sit here and they're gonna shoot back, and we're gonna shoot back. I was like, we gotta fucking kill these guys. Especially with a Mark 48, I had that urgency. Like, I need to do something.
Yeah. Fire superiority.
Yeah, exactly. Fire superiority. Like, fucking, let's find out where these guys are. Right. Let's start fucking moving. So I remember Colonel P not Colonel P. Sorry, I have a Colonel P. I work for. Sergeant P was up against the wall along with the rest of the squad, while me and Jones was in this ditch.
Miss Jones.
And I'm like, hey, listen. And I was like, cover me. I'm gonna bound, meet up with you guys. I'm gonna get, a good field of fire. Like, Roger. So they start shooting up the hill. Still, no one's there. You can't see anyone, but they start covering me. They're shooting up the hill. I run across the road. I link up, and I remember I link up with Holloway. I'm like, Holloway, cover me. I'm gonna go around this bend. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna go up this hill a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm gonna get a field of fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna, start laying down rounds and trying to find out where these motherfuckers are. He's like, cool. So he starts covering me, and I start like skirting around the road. And Afghanistan is usually like you start making your way up a road or whatever, or up a mountain, and it just opens up to a valley.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
It's pretty
more often than not, yeah.
right. There's not a lot of dead space. Fucking like that's my life, right? I get up this road and like I got the Mark 48. I could feel fucking rounds like slapping my fucking feet. You know what I mean? I got my eyes up, and I'm like just textbook, fucking eyes ready, and there's fucking dead space everywhere. There's fucking houses, there's fucking trees, and like I can't just
you're
stop.
looking up, right?
So I'm literally like looking like I'm looking up like this. You know what I mean? I got the saw literally like this, like I just like this. I can feel the buttstock. I'm just looking in like I'm just looking for the shooter.
Yeah,
and this dead space, and I can't stop moving. Like this fucking RPGs going off. This fucking everyone's shooting, and I just remember like, oh shit, I gotta keep moving, or else like I'm anticipating someone coming behind the tree and smoking me. Right. So I'm just moving, and then before I know it, like I'm up the fucking hill, and then it plateaus open finally. Yeah, and it's just this big plateau, and I can see the trees way down, like 300 meters down, and immediately I'm like, oh fuck, I'm all alone. Yeah. And I shit you not, the moment I realize I'm alone, they start shooting at me. And there's only a fucking single rock big enough for me to get cover. Yeah. Like it's literally big enough where like I had to hunch down and put my head between my knees. Mm-hmm. And so now I can't hear the rounds whizzing by my head. So I'm like, all right, motherfuckers don't know where I'm at exactly. Right, you know what I mean? Right. And so I look over, I peek over the rocks and the rock, and I can see like there's a sector of like branches swaying. Yeah. I'm like, I got you, motherfuckers. That's where the gun team is at. Yeah. So I get on my knee and I start shooting at them, and I can hear them firing. So, but the rate of cycle, it sounds like maybe they're firing at me. I don't know. Maybe they shoot at someone else. But I stop shooting. I duck my head. I start firing back at them, and then I now know that they're shooting at me because it's like we're talking to each other. Right. You know what I mean? Yep. And I only got like maybe another burst off that's when I got shot from the rear. Yeah.
Do you think it was like a downward? Like, did you find out?
And
like,
that's what the thing is. I thought I was so stupid for having. It wasn't a smart move in the beginning. Obviously, I thought I got shot by one of our own guys, right?
Yeah.
But talking to the doctors, they're like, no, it's a really big bullet, so it wasn't a 5.56.
Right.
And knowing where our gun team was at, so it was Capaldi who pulled up the rear, and knowing where he was at and he was shooting at, he couldn't have gotten me at that angle. Right. He couldn't have gotten me at all, right? Because he'd have to be shooting down.
Because this was around the bend, right? So he was like, they caught you in a really good spot, by the way.
I was in the kill zone because there's nothing but the cliff around the bend.
Right. And like, oh man, because I remember the frustrating part on my end was like they were so close to the fucking cell phone tower. Yeah. And that was a part of our restricted firing area.
And that's where I thought they were hanging out, possibly. You know what I mean?
Because we tried dropping 60s. On the back, just on the backside. I mean, we were cutting it fucking close. But no, because I was asking my brother about it, and I was like, where the fuck was everything? Because that motherfucker went on all the missions that like didn't go so hot. Like with the exception of the one mission that he went with me, where we all went together. He went on Massimute. He went on that mission. He was on that mission, and there was like one other one that they got shot at again. Like all the big ones, he was on it. I'm like, bro, you're bad juju. You need to stop fucking going to these missions, dude. No, the antithesis to that was the Massimute mission, because I know you were back over here in the States. I think you weren't in Germany.
No, I briefly told me about that. Cavalli told me about that.
And I had the choice to go on that mission. So just how you were saying, like you were about to get ready to go and leave. I hadn't been on leave yet. This is September, like the first week of September, because September 5th was the day it happened. And they were like, all right, you can be a part of the mission. You're going to be a part of the mission planning for this, but you have to make a choice. You have to go to either take your leave, or go on this mission, not take it, and have the potential to like not have any leave whatsoever.
Oh, fuck that.
So I sat on it though. You would think I would just be like, nah, fuck that, I'm taking leave. Plus, this has been my second tour, so like I know the deal. And so I was like, well, I can not take leave and do this mission and be like that one guy who like did the whole tour,
okay,
and not
respect
and not take leave. I was like, that's some street cred. That's a little bit of street cred, a little bit. I was like, but I'll probably get a shot in the face. Because at that point, they were all telling us, like, massive mute, like, nobody's been there. Same shit they gave you. And also, by the way, to backtrack onto that intel, I call bullshit on whatever French Foreign Legion bullshit they gave you. Because, like, everybody comes up with a new story for, like, why a bunch of people, like, it's like a ghost story. It's like the army or the military does that in general. It's like, I heard the ghost of 3 Marines that got killed in this valley, and nobody has ever been there since. They always do that every fucking time, man. So I call bullshit. I'm pretty sure, because when you said 3 years back was when I was there, and nobody got killed over there. And what we heard was that a bunch of Marines got slaughtered in that fucking valley, and it's the same one as the Gunapal Valley.
Sounds like it could be one of those.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of Scooby Doo shit. It's a bunch of Scooby Doo shit. If it wasn't for your meddling kids. But anyways, so on that mission, I was like, man, do I go or not go? I decided, I'm like, you know what? I want to go home. So I decided to go home. That's the mission that my brother got shot on. So I was just talking to him for a while, like about like an hour and a half on the whole ordeal, and like who is where and where the positions and all that stuff. And then I told him like what we were trying to do, because we tried to get up a 120 all the way up to the Death Star, because we knew it could give us enough elevation and the air is thin enough that we can get enough distance to make it. So we were going to try to cover the north side, but we ended up not doing it, and it's probably a better thing that we didn't, because we probably would have massacred like a whole village by accident. For sure. But yeah, that the leave choice I feel like is weird, because I feel like everybody's leave story is like somehow epic. Like they either miss something really dramatic, or like we're a part of something dramatic. Like it's never, oh yeah, I just wanted my leave and that's it. Like it's always like, oh yeah, I was supposed to be with this guy, and then this guy's got his shit clapped, even though he took my spot, or like something like that. It's always that. It was always like, oh, I should have, coulda, woulda stories all the time. Never fails. Everybody that I've talked to on leave is like, I had a guy who got shot in the leg, actually, ironically enough, a little bit further up north in that place that we weren't supposed to go to, Dala Shah. We had a guy who took a Mark 19 shrapnel. Like they did a test fire, they shot, and somehow managed to hit him in the femoral artery. What the fuck?
Jesus.
Yeah.
He lived?
Yeah, he lived. He ended up going home. He was good. He like same deal. Like I think he went to Walter Reed. He had some like nerve issues. Actually, I just saw him like 2 years ago. But yeah, it's always, leave stories are always crazy. All the time.
All right. Well, it's been about an hour and 11 minutes.
Hey, we did it.
Any parting thoughts, Miguel? Anything you'd want to tell or say to a fellow veteran out there who's struggling with anything?
Start getting honest with yourself. No more bullshit. No more making excuses why you should have an extra drink. No more excuses why you should smoke an extra blunt. Mind games. Stop making excuses. Make an excuse to, whether it's do some PT, I start off with bedside sit-ups or bedside dips. Do something small. Just make a change, because if you're not, you just can't fucking talk. You just can't talk if you're not going to do anything about it. Like, just get the fuck after it. Because all the times that you tell yourself, oh, I wish I got killed on this hilltop, or I got killed on this and I shouldn't have never made it. Well, then fucking make it worth it. Make it worth it. Because, you've been on both sides. where you felt like you were with our homies in Valhalla, and you've been on the other side also. So you have a lot more perspective than most of us, but at the end of the day, you still got to get the fuck after it. And there's no excuse why any of us can't. We have the tools, we have the training, we have the friends. Start reaching out to your guys. You know, I think that we owe it to each other to make it through something like that, to talk to each other afterwards. Just because it's over, you know, we don't have to worry about Yeti calls at 5 o'clock in the morning or Yeti prayer. But, you know, get in contact with everybody, talk about it. Because nobody else understands it, because we bitch about it. We're like, nobody gets what I'm talking about. I need a safe space. We're doing the same shit. So fucking start talking about it. Get after it, man. Talk about your feelings. It's okay. Warrior poets. You know, whatever you want to call yourself. Do it. Get after it. Start talking. Anybody who knows me, I don't have social media, but fucking hit me up. You can ask Terry for my number.
Glad to have you on, Miguel.
Absolutely.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers. What is that intensity?
That's a wrap.